Welcome to another My Outlander Purgatory recap. This week, we continue our Season 6 coverage with a recap of Episode 605, Give Me Liberty. Ready? Then pour yourself a wee dram, settle in, and let's do this. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Carol.
And we are My
Outlander
Purgatory. So before we start, look what I'm remembering right now to do. Guys, here's your weekly reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think okay, you guys, we broke 3,800 subscribers.
Oh, did we?
Yes, we did. We did.
When we started begging in the beginning of the season, it was like 36 and change.
I was all like, we have to get to 10,000. And now we're like, we want to break 4,000, you guys, by the end of the season. 4,000.
It's so just so bizarre when you watch YouTubers. Like, I have some YouTubers I watch faithfully, and they have like 2 million followers.
Well, this is the same thing with TikTok. You know, I watch because you get like things like TikToks pushed to you. And I watch TikTok and I like, yeah, this guy's funny. Like, yeah, should I subscribe to him? And I look at his stats. Yeah, 2 million followers. It's like, how are 2 million people on TikTok? Like, how Crazy. Is that possible?
The killer is what they're doing.
I know.
I mean, there are people eating on YouTube and making millions of dollars doing it.
I don't know. It's crazy.
And we're having serious adult conversation about the 18th century and time travel and Scotland and the Revolutionary War. And we've got 3,800. You guys, I'm loving, not only do I love you guys who already subscribed, but I'm loving you 250 who subscribed in the past 4 weeks.
I know.
You guys
we're loving
rock.
Your comments too. You have so many good things to say. It's totally fun to watch, to read them. Any other news of the day? So we have reminded you to subscribe, buy the merch. We've got merch out. I keep meaning to wear the merch, but it's kind of too cold to do it.
I think we're gonna have a little
tank top.
I think we're gonna have a little. I think we're gonna have a little contest.
Are we?
Yeah, I think I'm putting a little something together. It's a little something
right now,
something.
or is that going to come like maybe next week?
Yeah, maybe next week.
Okay.
I'd be looking for it because I have some stuff that I want to give away, and something's going to be merch is going to be part of it.
Okay. All right. Well, so you guys take note. Watch next week. See what we got. The only other thing I want to say is, our trip to Scotland. We leave for Scotland 3 weeks from tonight.
Oh, don't even say that.
It's crazy. It's crazy that this is coming to fruition after more than 3 years of planning, really. But we're doing it. We're going. And I happened upon last week when I was editing the last week's video, I was just like, kind of killing time and scrolling through like what I love to do. And I do this for anything. When I have to go somewhere, I look like an Airbnb or something. I look at it on Google Street View. Like Google Street View is addicting. It's as bad as TikTok.
I'm on Google Street View.
Like your house, or
like I was at my friend's and Shannon. Shannon.
Uh-huh.
Shannon's been on our videos. She called me the other day and she said, the Google car came down the street. We were like, are we going to be on? Sure enough, they blurred our faces, but we're standing there in front of her house. Yes.
Oh my God. Oh, she meant like you physically, like your person was on.
We are Google standing in front of her house. They blurred my, blurred
her face.
They tattooed his face. They blurred my license plate and they blurred our faces. Yes. And I'm so vain that I was like, oh, thank God I look okay coming down those stairs or whatever it was.
It's crazy that they have to do that for each and every house. Like, oh my God, I sort of want that job. Like I would take that job after weeks of my work where I have to just write lessons and think really hard.
Yeah.
I just want the job where you scrub people's license plates off.
Oh my God.
That's
I
good.
thought you meant I want the job where you drive around and like the camera.
Oh, I would like
pictures.
that. Oh, yes, I want that job too. But I'll even take the job of scrubbing the license plates off the Google.
Right. But I wonder how many people are out there who ended up like in a Google Earth or a Google screenshot and are like, oh, I hate what I'm wearing, or I hate my hair. I mean, clearly I don't have that much vanity or I wouldn't be sitting here looking like this. But it's a crappy night outside.
It's crappy. But wait, so what I was going to make the point, which is that, so I was Google streeting our hotel in Edinburgh, and we were right around the corner from the 18th century Hall of Scientific or Medical Oddities.
Okay, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you.
Why?
How many friggin' times have I mentioned the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia? It's the same thing. And no one, it's
not in Scotland. It's not in Scotland.
Philadelphia. The Mutter, Google Mutter and the Mutter Museum.
Claire didn't make it. This is Claire.
If it does not fit, you must acquit.
This is Claire's museum.
If it's like not about Claire, if it's not about Claire, it ain't there.
It's not there.
All right. I have so many notes. I have so many.
Let's get this show on the road. This is episode 605. Give me liberty. So I think we know where we're going for the rest of the season now. We're going on the revolutionary ride.
That's right.
Yep. Let me just say that the writer is Barbara Stepansky, who is a newbie, I think, to our little crowd.
Oh, I love Barbara because I liked this episode a lot.
Yes, this was a good episode. The director is once again Christiana Ebhon Green. Now, for all the people, Third Sister Jill included, who have been like, this season's kind of boring, me. Like nothing's really happening. It's what we in the recapping business like to call character studies, if you will. And last week Ian had has chance, and the week before it was Fergus, and then Claire, whatever. This week was not a character study. This week was action, 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 all the way.
Action.
And mo action. So we have a cold open tonight, Carol, and we see people walking through the mist, the foggy seashore coastline that you would not be surprised to have Poldark ride on his horse. And
Poldark should have. At one point, I thought I saw Poldark in this episode. Poldark. I have never missed Poldark.
Episode.
Oh, we gotta watch Poldark again.
So we see it's a woman and two women, and then we see except that one of them is not a woman. Who is it, Carol?
Mock me.
Mock me. Mock me. Mock me. Mock me. Mock me. Mock me. Mock me.
I was so happy. I wasn't shocked because we knew he was coming. He was at the premiere.
Oh, that's right.
He was at the premiere and he said, now you knew they were he was like, I was really happy that they brought me back for a little something.
That's right. I totally forgot about that, but you're absolutely right.
Right.
Yes, I was surprised too. I wasn't like, oh my God, I never thought we'd see him again. Because they always surprise you on this show. They always like drop in a little visitor here or there.
Yeah.
So it was totally fun. He's dressed up like a woman. He's got a little bonnet. Of course, he's bitching and moaning about it because it's really uncomfortable. So shut up, Charlie. And if you want to live, go there if you want to live. So they're going to sneak him off to France because he's in lots of danger and everything. But we see some soldiers, and so we have a little scene. We learn later it's Flora McDonald who's in charge here, and she's like, just shut up, let me do the talking here, I'm gonna talk. And she gets her dressed on a little all shimmy, and she's like ready to pull some girl action, just like, if you will, when we get stopped by a cop for speeding or something, and we just pull the girl thing. And it used to work when I was younger, but
Did you say for speeding?
speeding or whatever.
I thought you said for beating. And I was like, I have never been pulled over
For beating.
Will Smith might have been, but not me.
Oh boy, we have this is why we have to have a Patreon, because we can tell the stories. I'm not gonna go there, but these stories
Of my
tell.
freshman year in high school with
Mhm.
Will. All right, so
Mhm.
seriously, I did what you wanted, and I looked up some Flora McDonald, and this story is 100% accurate. It's exactly how it went down.
That she talked his way on the boat,
And that they had him dressed up like an old Irish woman. And then
So-
later, when they got to Skye, her steward, who was also a McDonald, told him, take that off because you're standing out more like that dressed as an old Irish woman. So just take it off. Yeah.
Well, once they're in France, nobody's going to really care that it's Prince Charlie.
Well, they went to Skye first.
Weren't they in Skye there going to France? Or they were, they had to go to Skye. Yes. I get it.
Sing me a song.
Yes, I get
of a
it.
lad that is gone.
Because her stepmother, her mother or whatever had died in Skye. And she pulled a lot of great shit. She was like, yes, she's a great spinner, but she fears she'll be spinning a shroud now.
Yes.
Shroud.
But
And I was like, ooh, good thinking.
I loved that they gave us this scene because it's what the song is about. It's the Skyboat song.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh my God, where is Bear McCreary? Like, it's so awesome that they're doing this. That's what the real song is about.
It was super cool that they had, okay, this makes so much more sense now. I didn't put two and two together with that, but that's why they didn't do the regular starting. And instead they showed the whole boat trip during the Sing a Song.
Yes.
And the dude sang the whole thing rather than having the girl there.
Over the sea to Skye.
But can I just say one thing? Can we go back to just the whole so Flora McDonald is trying to scam her way onto the boat for Charlie. And I just thought it was so hilarious that the redcoat just didn't get it. It was like an episode of Bosom Buddies. Where
there was a lot in this episode that reminded me of like funny shows. And I wrote them all down.
Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari look nothing like women. Like they clearly don't look like women, but they fool everyone.
Now these other ladies know us as Buffy and Hildegard.
Oh my God, he was so Peter Scolari in that getup. You're right. That's so funny.
And I'm just like, the guy, he's kind of looking at him funny, and Peter Scolari, Mark me is like,
he was terrified. You want to know what's kind of BS about this? Now I love me some Mark me, but Bonnie Prince Charlie, apparently, according to the history books, was really pretty. Could have really probably passed for a woman, because he was he was Bonnie. He was very pretty and attractive and also kind of feminine. Mm-hmm. So that made sense. Well, then they dress him up. They dress Mark me up, and it's like, oh no. Not that he's not adorable, but he's not pretty and feminine.
Well, even the second time I watched it, I didn't feel so weird to me. I sort of was used to it, to the point where I was like, okay, well, maybe if you weren't wearing your glasses, he could pass for a woman, or maybe if you had a couple, he could have passed for a woman. But no, I was just really, really laughing at how nobody noticed that he's a dude. It was some like a hot, Bosom Buddies material right there. And then when they're leaving and Mark me does that sort of tries to curtsy. Oh my God, it was so funny. It was so.
Oh God, I know. I thought to myself,
funny.
Did they practice this? How does he know how to curtsy?
He doesn't, clearly, because he was just
the Gaelic version of the Skyboat song just haunts me every week. When they just do the little blurb, it just haunts me. I had to stop and get the tissues this time around. It's the same reason I can't watch what's Sam Hewen's show?
Oh,
Men in Kilts, I think it's
Sam
called.
and Graham like run around Scotland.
Is it Men in Kilts?
Men in Kilts.
Yeah. Same exact. I just it haunt listening to that voice.
Well, you know that guy doesn't sing, and that Sam and Graham are actually kind of goofy on that show, and they're not really haunting at all.
Tried it. It's Tom. It's all Tom. I can't do it. And so every week when he starts singing, I can't do it. I'm just like, it just brings out something. And, you know, I'm a fan of past lives. So that whole thing just, anyway. All right, moving on. Easter egg.
So the Easter egg is, you know, not even that Eastery or eggy. It's the join or die flag. That's pretty obvious what it means. It means like, you know, we're turning. It's time. It's time, Claire. It's time, Claire. So Jamie's out as the Indian agent, and because of his personal convictions won't allow him to do it anymore. And is it the governor who's reading in the letter? I think
that's what I was.
I think it's the new governor. I think it's because Tryon's not the governor anymore. I think it's the new governor.
Right.
But let's not worry about him, because sitting across the desk from him.
We both did that at the same time.
My God. That man is just a hunk of burning love. I'm sorry, but you know, Carol, let me ask you this. Right off the bat, I'm going to ask you this. Who's hotter, Lord John or Fergus?
Lord John.
Yeah, I would say Lord John too.
Well, stop right there. I think that it depends on, no one's hotter than Fergus during Lamaze. You know what I mean? Lord John wouldn't hold a candle to Fergus during Lamaze. But as far as, like, they're both just gorgeous men. I think I just am, and it's not, what's his name? Lord John, real life.
David Barry.
It's not, I mean, he's a beautiful man, but it's Lord John.
Yes, agreed.
You stick that accent and that ponytail and that sort of tight wad, but with a heart of gold soldier. Oh.
I feel also like Fergus, in all honesty, I mean, they're both really hot, and it's a hard choice. But Lord John's a little older, so, and I think that's what like kicks him over to I choose him. I choose Lord John. But let us know what you think in the comments, because I think it'd be split down in the middle. But that man, he's so hot. I just can't. All right. So they're worried, like, okay, is this a letter of resignation or a revolt? They're not really sure. And Lord John is like, oh, no. I know Jamie. We're like this. He's all good. Don't worry about it. But we're gonna Lord John's gonna maybe like dig around a little bit and see what he can find out.
I have written down, he's reading the resignation letter out loud, and who is listening but Lord John, hot pants extraordinaire of the planet.
I wrote down LJ is hot as, that's all. That's exactly what I wrote.
My kids laugh at me because I say hot as AF.
It's something that our mother Patsy would say.
It's like the La Trattoria.
Yes. So we're in Wilmington. A lot of the events happen in Wilmington, North Carolina. And there, Jamie and Claire are there for a Flora McDonald event. Now, in the books, this all goes down at River Run. Joe Costa throws the party. It's a barbecue for Flora. I kind of wasn't sure like why they changed it. Was Joe Costa's house not available? was it because of COVID? Like maybe they had to, because of COVID, they didn't want people like smushed into the house and they
No,
wanted to spread people out.
I think it was because it had to be near the city center. Jamie had to, because they were still there.
Right, but that still happens. I went back and I checked this in the book. I check everything in the book now, trust me. And it happens exactly the same way. Like Claire doesn't get Jocasta stoned in the book.
Oh my!
Other...
Oh, you stole my words! You stole my words! Damn it!
Somebody was going to say get Jocasta stoned. I mean, that's what happened. But that does not happen. Claire performed surgery on Jocasta's eye, and it's really gross. And I just remember this because I just looked it up. But then right after that, same thing. Like Jamie gets called, like there's a riot in town. So maybe it's like in Cross Creek or something where this happens. But it's not, but it does happen right after the barbecue. And they go from Jocasta's house to wherever this is that this happens. So I don't know why they put it in Wilmington instead. Maybe because in Wilmington, you're more likely to see some feeling for the rebellion. Like you're more likely to have
like everything going
there.
on. Jocasta lived on like a giant plantation. He couldn't have just gotten down the street to the
But he did. This is what I'm saying. It's totally from the book. It's totally from the book.
Well, maybe visually it wasn't going to make any sense.
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like they already, like they had, maybe that was the thing too. You know, they had Jocasta's wedding. So they had the big event at Jocasta's house already in season, I guess last season. So maybe they were like, oh, that's gonna be boring. And so just like the last episode. So let's put it somewhere else. I don't know, whatever.
Well, we'll find out.
I couldn't figure out whose house that was.
Yeah.
Because it was nice. But anyway, they're in Wilmington. So they're in the hotel. And Jamie gets invited to drink with some rebel guy. And
hold on there.
What?
Jamie, that was a prearranged meeting.
Who prearranged it?
Hang on a minute, because now I'm Wilmington, North Carolina, Jamie and Claire unpacking. Oh, Jamie, hang on. Did we get to the Jamie and Claire unpacking business yet?
We're there. We have arrived.
We see Wilmington, North Carolina. Jamie and Claire are unpacking in a hotel room and discussing Flora's event. Claire asks Jamie if he had a crush on Flora.
And Jamie's like, huh?
And Jamie's like, didn't be. What did he tell her?
Well, I like that he didn't know what crush meant.
Oh yeah, I thought that was very real too. The way he was like, huh? Like, what is that? And she was like, I didn't know the word she used. And he told her, didn't be daft. And I love that because they still say that today. And she asks him about the crush and he wishes Fergus could be here. And that's when he said, doesn't he say at that point, like, yeah, he has to be in New Bern. Yes. And especially because he loves Flora's great tale of taking, mark me, what?
You're being rather offensive.
Oh, her rear end? I don't think Flora's rear end came into the story at all.
Yes, he loves Flora's great tale. Of Oh, that's kind of offensive.
I was like, what is she talking about? Oh my God. All right. So hang on a minute, because I want to go back to this because you're past them in the hotel room, right?
No, I mean, we're in the hotel room. I have things to say about the hotel room.
Oh, okay. Because go ahead. I'm not done yet. I got more, but you go ahead. I'll give you
a chance.
I
just, Jamie got the invite to drink with this rebel downstairs in the tavern. But then they start talking about Flora, as you said. And Jamie's talking about.
Wait, tell me about the invite. Because I just know that he walked in and they went through their double secret password, say the password, onion head, back and forth with each other. So
Jamie got a letter from this guy. Okay. And it was like an invitation to go have a drink with him.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, it's not a big deal. But Jamie's telling Claire about, the Prince Charlie and Flora, and he's like her epic tale. But the way he said it, like you were gonna say, the epic tale, he said it in a way that was like, it was kind of bullshit. Like he's like, yeah, her epic tale, like oh, it was so brave, or like I think it was more to do with the fact that they know the skinny about Mark Me and how he's a real douchebag.
Yes.
And like, yeah. Oh, that was some great saving that she did, like for that piece of shit. Like she just should have let him,
right,
be unmasked and thrown into the sea, whatever.
Right.
I mean, is that the impression that you got as well? It was very subtle.
It was so subtle that I didn't really pick up on it, but that's neither here nor there.
I thought it was sort of interesting. I don't know. I wondered if he was being sarcastic, which I thought maybe he was. But yeah, and then we find out that Fergus now owns a print shop because Jocasta bought him one.
Do we know that yet, or did she just say he'll be in Newburn?
No, we know that because he went to, I guess she says later when he was staying with her and he was all like, oh, remember when I was when we worked in the print shop and I was so happy. And Jocasta's probably like, well, no, because I don't think I knew you then, but here, have a print shop. But she really had ulterior motives, as we find out.
I just didn't know in this episode when they mentioned that. I just know they said he was going to be in Newburn, but I don't have anything written down in this scene about them talking about him in the print shop.
No, they did. Yeah, Jamie just says like, yeah, Ferguson's a print shop, and I'm not really happy about that, but whatever. And that's all I got for here.
For this scene?
Yeah.
So I have, me in the historical stuff. So I'm like, my ears are perking up. She tells Jamie that images of Flora and Bonnie Prince Charlie conjure up visions of Scottish rebellion and the Jacobites. And Jamie explains that all of the old Jacobites have new lives and they have much to lose and not a lot to gain by fighting.
Right. So, they've all sworn oaths to the crane.
Yeah.
Oaths to the crane.
Yeah. And of course, I'm like, immediately, he's basically saying like, they're going to fight for the crown. And she's like, isn't this so bizarre after everything they've all been through? And now they're going to fight for the crown. And all I'm thinking of is the anniversary is coming up next week of my town. And the main thing that happened in my town was they burned down the salt works, which this giant salt works on the water was the only way to preserve your meat, preserve your different foods. So if you wanted to really get to somebody, you were going to burn down the salt works. But the most interesting thing I've ever found, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, is that the Union Salt Works was burned down by the Fraser's Highlanders. So that April 1778. So that freaks me out. That I found out much later. When I found that out, I'll never forget it. We were in the car driving and I dug it up on the internet and Tom was like, oh my God, calm down. And I was like, it was the Fraser Highlanders. But that really stuck with me when she was saying that, like, everything they've gone through and everything they went through with Culloden and the Diskilting Act. You couldn't even show a plaid. You couldn't even show your tartan. And yet here they all are now. And like Jamie says later in the episode, like, I'm going to be fighting, my neighbors and my kin. You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild. The whole thing.
Right. But it's like, wild. I mean, it's, that old thing of like, it's the devil,
Yeah.
That's why.
All right. Let's get to where he goes downstairs to talk some treason.
Okay.
With so the local crown haters.
The tavern, they get to the tavern and like they showed this a couple of times, but it was kind of like I felt like somebody in the writer's room or in the research room was like, I found this totally cool article about how they used to play pool in 1776 or 17 whatever we are, and it wasn't like a pool like a stick like this. It had like a little thingy on it and it was just 3 balls. So let's play it all the time on this episode.
Oh
and that's what they did.
And they played it all the time and he goes downstairs and goes in there and all of a sudden we're right smack in the middle of Turn Washington Spy. Weren't you like, oh my God,
that was that tavern. Yes. It was the secret tavern where downstairs they had like the big print shop or whatever it was where they printed all the like, seditious pamphlets and stuff.
Oh I wish they would. Can't they just write some John Andre into this?
Well, you never know. I don't remember if John Andre ever makes an appearance in Outlander. I don't think so. But I'm not done bees yet, you guys. I need to put bees on my iPad because it's the only way I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
Because by the time, like, I would read it at night, after my husband goes to sleep, but I can't turn on a light and read the book. I'm gonna have to put it on my iPad. That's all there is.
I always read on my iPad, but I fall asleep. And then I kept thinking, I'm going to read a lot on the plane. And then I'm like, oh shit, it's a red eye. I'm not reading anything on the plane. Hopefully.
I'm putting it on my iPad and it'll get read. It'll get read. So it's Mr. Harnett who invited him for drinks. He's the drinking rebel. And he's all like, woohoo, here's to the crown. And the guy next to him.
Does he know Ben Talmadge?
And then Jamie's like, oh, well, I don't even remember what he said, but he's like, not everyone likes the crown. Isn't that right, Mr. Harnett? Aren't you Mr. Harnett? And he's like, yeah, I am. And so Jamie pegged him right away because of the guy throwing up in his wine glass. Do you think he was Ben Talmadge?
No, I just thought the whole thing was Turn. I swear they used the same thing. I was like, this looks like something they filmed in Turn Washington Spies.
Except it was Scotland, but maybe they got ideas from Turn.
Yeah.
So basically they talk, they get to know each other. Jamie sees his little Freemason ring and realizes he's a Freemason. So they do that
double secret handshake. I laughed so hard. I'm like, Jamie sees his Freemason's ring and seals their chat with a double secret handshake. So hilarious.
So there is a Sons of Liberty meeting tomorrow that Jamie is going to be there at. And he says, yes, I'll be there. And he walks out, and this is the big nod to the book readers. What does he see on the shelf? It's Stephen Bonnet's balls. I do believe it's also a little shout out to our friend Teresa in the Outlander kitchen because she has a recipe for Stephen Bonnet's balls.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I did not remember that. That you're saying that. Oh God. I was too busy being grossed out.
And it's not Jamie in the book that sees Stephen Bonnet's balls, it's Claire. But for a minute there, I was like, is this some sort of foreshadowing? Like, no, we saw, no, Bree shot him, right? Bree shot him in season 5. Like, he's done. He's really done. Because the fact is spoiler alert, I guess. Well, not really, but because this is way before this, but at one point in season 5 or book 5, Bree kind of does get an opportunity to perhaps ruin his balls a bit. So, so I think Stephen Bonnet is really, really most sincerely dead. I don't think he's coming back.
Okay.
Do you not?
We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
But the one thing I have to say before he walks out is that I just loved everything about this scene. Well, I've told you how many times Turn Washington Spies, which I also loved, but the bottom line is that the entire Revolutionary War was pretty much planned out in taverns on the East Coast. And that's exactly what I have written down was, here we go. The taverns are where the entire Revolutionary War was planned. Tracy and I, do you remember we ate lunch?
I've been to that tavern on several occasions.
And I said, oh my God, this is where the Battle of Paoli was planned.
What's it called? The General Wayne Inn?
No, the General Wayne is.
I think it is. I think it's the General Wayne Inn.
I thought that was in Wayne.
I don't think so.
It kills me that they've sold some of them off to don't get me started.
I don't know because I get together with my elementary school friends there occasionally. Once a year.
All I know is, you guys, I got to get the name of this. I have to get the name of this because it is just so cool to go. If you ever want that Revolutionary War experience of you feel like you're back in the day, that place with the wide plank original floors with the giant knots and they're uneven. And all I can think of was, this is where they planned the Battle of Paoli, John Andre. And Tom used to give me such a hard time. How can you, I feel like I told this two episodes ago, but like, how can you like this guy? He planned the Battle of Pale, like, but anyway, so here we go. Now we're going to be in Outlander and in these taverns where that's where everything was planned, you know, and a lot of times the barkeep would know and they wouldn't, you know, they'd let it go on over there. And we have a place that was a tavern here in Monmouth County called Spy House. Google it. It's really cool. I haven't been inside, but I've been there on the property. And apparently that guy, the owner of the tavern back in the day, used to that's why they call it Spy House, because he would listen and then he'd fill in the right guys. These idiots had no idea they were being listened to by the bartender. You know what I mean? And everybody was very like hush hush and very, oh no, that's fine. Like Jamie's doing now, playing both sides, whatever. Meanwhile, you dumbasses, you were being listened to the entire time. So anyway, I love that. I love this whole, I love it. I love
it. So we're at Amy's house now and Roger's fixing stuff. Okay. This just so reminds me of Little House on the Prairie episode where I know I've mentioned this before. I probably mentioned this like 2 weeks ago when Roger started like doing shit for Amy, where Pa goes away, like he finds work somewhere with Mr. Edwards. So they go away, but he hires a handyman to come and like, you know, fix the roof and do this and do that and do this and do that.
I heard you might be needing some help.
And he has the eye for Carolyn and Carolyn kind of has the eye for him, Ma Ingalls.
Ew, like, she's got Pa.
I mean, she doesn't really, but like, you know, he's like a handsome dude, whatever. And she's like lonely and Pa's been gone for so long, but Mary's really suspicious. And like Laura loves him. Like he's super nice to all the kids. But Mary's like super suspicious. And she finally like, I don't know, like Ma like trips over something and the handyman guy catches her and there's like a little look or something. And Mary sees it and Mary like throws him out. Mary's like, hit the road. You homewrecker.
I don't remember that. I guess Mary didn't lose.
That's what this episode reminds me, or this little scene reminds me of.
I guess Mary had lost her eyesight by that point, but
Mary could still see. Mary could still see trouble when it was coming.
I think Ma was cray, man. She had the hottest guy on the planet. Are you kidding me?
Pa Ingalls is pretty hot, but you know, he's gone for a month.
You don't get better looking than Michael.
You have to take care of Laura and friggin' crying Carrie all the time.
You don't get better looking than Pa Ingalls' wheezy laugh, Michael Landon, circa 1978. Man, you do not get any better looking than that. My God, that hair.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. So okay. This is probably a little disappointing. I think you're going to hear it from book readers about this, which is that Roger's like, la, 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 and Amy's like, oh, what is that song? It sounds like familiar. And he's like, okay, here it is. La, 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 la. Well, you know, the fact is that like probably a year ago or less than a year ago, Roger was almost dead because he was almost hung. And in the books, he really doesn't have his voice is really not there. It's kind of, you know, he's still trying to get it back.
They never followed that storyline ever.
I know they didn't. But I do have to say, in the defense of that storyline, if we're still you know, shooting up the ether because of all the trauma, like the least we could do is throw Roger a bone and let him bask in his trauma too a little bit. But it's
I thought you were going to say let him have some ether.
Let him have, well, you never know. I mean, the ether could help him too. But he just seems to be like completely over that. Like they just made the choice that like that was done. That was done and it's over. But in the books, it's a really big thing. And it's probably a little more believable in the books because he really doesn't get his voice back for a while. And he really doesn't like when he can sing again and it takes a while, it's a really big thing. So I don't think I mean, I get why they don't do it in the show. It would just be too weird and too much stuff going on. But I have seen book readers like, Roger can't sing. What's it? So, you know, I expect to hear that this week.
Well, I That is interesting. We will see what happens. The one thing that I kind of cracked up at was that Amy came out and thanked Roger for the peas that Roger and Bree sent over. And I'm like, that's a lot of peas. Like, I can understand sending her a little thing of peas, but like, really? You have that many?
I didn't notice how many it was. Well,
it was like a giant basket of peas that she sat there cracking the whole time. And
there
I
were long strands of peas too. Like there was a lot of
pea
peas
pods.
But I mean, mostly pea pods are like that big. Pea pods are like yay big.
Yeah. Well, that goes along with me wondering if Bree has invented some type of GMO pea growing solution that is very fruitful. Because I was like, that is a lot of peas. And like you just fed into my point. Like they were long peas. So Bree must be back there designing and inventing some pea growing machinery.
Oh my God. Yes, those were some crazy peas. I hope she's planning on canning some of them because you don't want to be wasteful with the peas. But yeah, so I don't know. It would be, it would be nice to give Roger his day in the sun and give him some trauma, but he's got other things to worry about. So
I was glad that it was only like a quick little couple of what do you call it? Of lines, because when he broke out into song, I was like, oh my God, this is like one of those televised musicals where I get up and get my glass of iced tea because somebody started singing.
I didn't recognize the song. You got it right away when she's like, oh, I think I heard that before, and he's like, no, you haven't. No, yeah, trust me, it's from where I am from.
Okay,
but I as a viewer don't know the song, so it could have been from 1950, it could have been from 1650. I don't know.
There's actually a comedic skit. There's actually a show called, I think it was called Making History, and it was only one season, and it was about a guy who is able to time travel back to 18th century, I think it's Massachusetts, and during the Revolutionary War, and he meets, I never know how to say her name, Leighton Meester.
I think that's close enough.
And he starts singing this theme song from Titanic, I think it was, and she's like, oh, he's like, oh, I wrote this for you. And he's like, near, far. And she's like, oh. You guys, if you want to laugh, it's only one season, watch it, Making History. Tracy, you will crack up now that when I saw that and Roger's singing and she's like, what is it? And he's like, that's all I could think of was that.
I just thought it would be more effective if it was like a Beatles song or something. I mean, and I get it's a traditional Scottish song, but like, I don't know what a 1950s traditional Scottish song versus a 1850s or a 1750s Scottish song.
Right.
I don't know. Ian's last week was probably more believable because it was all like saying Scottish stuff in like really ancient Scottish ways.
Right.
Like the words were all like, I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So the girls are hanging out in the woods, or not in the woods, like on the riverbank.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going too slow. I often find myself aching for it was Amy's line that I wrote down. And it gave me a little giggle. All right, keep going.
Like,
Breeze.
How do you, Amy?
Yeah. Oh. Ooh, Amy. Didn't know you. Don't you love how Amy just went from being all forlorn? Like last week, Amy was all, oh, I don't know how we're gonna survive, and now Amy's like,
and I was like, Roger, you want to
stay
for
that song
dinner?
you're singing? Snap, snap, snap. All of a sudden, she's aching for it. She's aching for it and snapping some peas.
He wants Roger to snap her peas. Oh my God. All right, we've got to move on from Amy, or we're gonna
we are. Bree, Marcelly.
Bree, the girls are hanging out the riverbed. Bree is looking for a place where she can install her plumbing. Okay. She wants to build a water wheel, and it's going to do this and this and this and this and this and this and the cistern, which she has to build, which is a pain in the ass. But then she doesn't know how she's going to, I don't know how she's going to get plumbing. Like, I mean, the fisher folk don't live right there, do they? I mean, I guess you can walk to the fisher folks' place from the big house, but I always think it's like got to be at least a 15-20 minute walk. You're really going to get plumbing that way? Like, I don't think so, Bree. You know, I mean, you're a genius, but not even you is going to be able to do that. Okay. So they come across a little, like, looks like a little campfire, but no. Marsley is a big expert in all things witchy, since, you know, her mother's a big old witch hunter. Her mother was not a witch. Her mother was a witch accuser. And her mother knew about all sorts of charms and spells and shit. So Marsley knows a good love charm when she sees one because mommy taught her well.
Yes.
So Marsley's like, yeah, no, that's a finger bone. Bree was hilarious. Bree's like, ew. Bree's all like, oh, look at this. What is it? Like, oh, Marsley's like, I think it's a finger bone.
I know. Bree's like, Marsley's like, duh. Like Marsley finds it amusing. Like, oh yeah, it's finger.
Mm-hmm. So it's a love charm, and we're like, well, who made it? And so we start like, you know, shooting accusations at people. Well, maybe it was Uta McGolvery, who is a character in the book, by the way. You know, her son is like looking for a woman, looking for a wife. Or maybe it's Amy, because, you know, she's looking for a new husband. Malva's like, oh yeah, because, you know, she's got those 2 young boys and no man, and, you know, she's so needy, isn't she, Bree?
I'm a little needy too.
You gotta find yourself a Roger, Carol. Should we put money on whether Carol will come back from Scotland with a man?
Well, you know my prereqs. I mean, you know, you better be able to work on a house. I can tell you that right now.
Like Roger can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So
before we get away from this little them walking around, keep going.
Lizzie has a spell. And I just thought it was so funny how, like, you know, Lizzie is like, in the books, Lizzie is teeny weeny. She's like, you could put her in her pocket. And so she's teeny weeny.
Yeah.
In the show, she's like the tallest. She's taller than Jamie.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny that she's like, well, you know, oh, I'm having a spell. And like poor little Marsley and Malva
have to
like,
carry her. And I noticed that. Like, of course, Bree doesn't do a thing.
Oh no, Bree's too important.
The other 2, in fact, I think I have that written down. Bree offers up her help of saying, oh, the malaria. And they're feverish. And of course, Malva and Marsley grab her because Bree has a clipboard holding. Oh no, Bree is a clipboard holding type who does nothing but direct others.
Bree's in charge. She's in charge.
Bree is too busy thinking about her water wheel to worry about this pain in the rear end, Lizzie, and her fever spell.
And her spells.
And her spell over a spell. She saw a spell and then she had a spell. And all I could think of, going back to Bree, you know, oh, I have to go over the tree with her water well, go up and around. And all I'm thinking of is Greg Brady going, it goes the pull, it's a pulley, it goes up, over the roof, down the thing. Remember the episode that was scary in the attic? And the girls got back at the boys.
Oh, yeah.
And Greg was like, all it did was go, it's a pulley. It works like this. It goes up over the house. Da, 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 da. And that's what I'm seeing as Bree's going. It's got to get up over the trees, down and the wheel.
Well, I just think it's hilarious how the girls are all like, okay, sure, that sounds great.
They're
That
like,
sounds great,
this
Bree.
is really boring. Let's go home and bake some bannocks.
All right, moving on.
I can't believe you didn't get my Greg Brady reference. You're the queen.
I
of the
didn't.
Brady.
Well, that's like a really rare, like, season 5 of the Brady Bunch is not as familiar with people. I used to be a big Brady expert too, but I haven't watched it in a million years.
Like, and I also have when they thought Amy was did the spell with the fingers. I have, oh sure, blame it on the widow. It's Amy McCallum.
That's what happens in Brielle too, you guys. Everyone's like, wait, this is like, what's happening? Oh my God, a school pickup is just so awful today. Well, it's Carol's fault, obviously, because she's looking for a man.
She's looking for manses. I'm not, by the way. I got enough to deal with.
Okay. It's party time. It's fancy party time. I still don't know whose house that was at, but it was a very lovely house, I have to say. And like I said in the books, it's at Costa's house. It's a barbecue. Lord John is hot. That's what I got written down. There we go. Lord John is hot.
Wait, where am I?
We're at the party.
I'm back at Lizzie passing out.
Move on.
We see. I write my notes like a script. I have in all caps. We see a giant powder blue mansion. Bibi Galini lives there, and she just painted it.
And there are lipstick.
There are bagpipes playing a happy tune, and all I could think of is Mike Myers in "So I Married an Axe Murderer," singing and dancing. There's a scene. Have you ever seen "So I Married an Axe Murderer"?
No.
Okay, you need to watch that. But there's a scene. They're at a wedding, and it's just a guy playing bagpipes, and the guy's dancing like it might as well be like a fast song. And this is what I'm thinking of as they're
all walking in, whatever. But they get there and they see Lord John there, so they were talking to him. They talk a lot about William.
No, they don't talk about William. Claire had to bring up William. Well, I was like, did you have to go there right now? And poor Jamie is sitting here like,
well, Jamie seemed to be okay with talking about William. I thought
he was fine, but it hurts him. It makes him sad. And Lord John's going on and on. He talks about history like a historian, and he talks about politics like a politician. And I'm like, oh, we get it. He's smart. He's great. He's interested. And poor Jamie's doing this.
See, I took it as, is this foreshadowing? Is somebody pulling William out of a hat like you do with a rabbit, and we're gonna like see him in, at the last episode of the season or something? Are we going to meet William? I
don't know. And that, you guys, she's not, those of you who have not read the books, she's not saying that because she knows anything. She really wants to know.
I've said, I don't know anything at all. No, but I do wonder, is that foreshadowing? Does that telling us that look, I don't know whether anything from the books is going to happen in the show, but
that's my point, is that
I felt like they talked about William a whole lot. I felt like they talked about him more than just like in passing. So that's what I thought. So moving on to Jocasta, she's here. It's kind of weird to me that Jamie calls Duncan Mr. Ennis.
Oh,
because in the books, Duncan Ennis is his bud.
Is Murtaugh.
is Murtaugh too, Electric Boogaloo. He's his bud from Archmere that he knew. He definitely was not calling him Mr. Ennis. Duncan probably. I don't know if Duncan calls him McDo. He probably does. But they have a very different relationship in the book. So
and
it's kind of funny.
I've got. Who says a Jacobite in the hand is worth two in the bush? Thanks anyway, Claire. Claire's like, you know what they say, a Jacobite in the hand is. And I'm like, no one says that, Claire.
Claire doesn't do well at these parties where there's famous historical figures.
Yeah.
Do you remember the episode with George Washington? and I don't know what the hell she said, but it was ridiculous.
But everyone always loves her.
But so I don't know. Maybe she gets a little flustered when she meets like famous historical people or something. I don't know what it is. But so Jamie is mad, and this is where what we were saying before with Fergus and the print shop, that Jamie's not happy that Jocasta bought Fergus a print shop. Maybe Jamie's like, he has to own his own print shop. You just can't buy everything for him, Jocasta. He has to learn the value of $1. No, he was just like, you know, he, you know, I think that now what Jocasta did is sort of uprooted Fergus's life, because now Marcelly and the kids have to move up to New Bern. That was not the plan. So I think Jamie's a little annoyed.
This is when because this is exactly what I have written down. Okay, so now we understand why Fergus can't be there and why he's in New Bern, because he went to visit Jocasta, just like Jamie told him to at the end of 2 episodes ago.
With the pamphlets.
And Jocasta bought him the print shop because he told her how much he missed Edinburgh and running the print shop. And she also probably knew a little bit about he was struggling and having a hard time. Right. And I thought it was
because she talks about we all Christian.
Right.
And to her point, I think I kind of, you know, again, we're not going to rehash the on the water, and I think I told everybody that like the whole like Henri Christian on the water in the river does happen, and Jamie tells Claire about it after the fact. But I think that is the impetus for. I don't think Jocasta in the book sets this all up. I think Jamie actually sets it up, and they do move to New Bern. But the Henri Christian thing has a lot to do with it. That like in a city, in a more urban, you know, metropolitan environment, it's not going to be so bad for him. He's moving away from like people who are really superstitious and who are really, you know, going to throw him in rivers all the time. So, okay. Anything else with this, or can we move on to Joe and Kezzy worried about Lizzie?
Just I have something about Mary shows up and Claire sees her, and they have a nice little they have a nice little exchange. But like you were just saying about Claire at these parties, and I was going to say Claire's always like a little strange at these parties because she's totally comfortable, but it's not really her thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I pick up on weird little, like, you know, Mary was like, oh, I had to go. I left, my mother died, and, you know, Jocasta let me go and mourn. And Claire was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she's like smiling, like a smile on her face. And I'm like, all right, that was just weird. But
I mean, it reminds you, because Claire always is like this. Like Claire, you know, Claire is super warm and cordial to like the lower class, like whether it's somebody, you know, whether it's the slaves, or whether it's somebody who is looked down on by, you know, the rich folk.
Yes.
Claire's always very kind to them.
Right.
And treats them like a human being, you know?
She treats everybody the same. Exactly. Which again was a nice, that I liked that scene.
Right.
You know, I
it wasn't
that
Jamie
was nice.
Who was like, Mary, it's really nice to see you. It was Claire.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm saying I'm agreeing with you.
And I did think it was, you know, I guess it, you know, it is what it is. Mary is Jocasta's slave, and Jocasta's, you know, it just seems so strange to me. This is an Outlander. This is just the way it was. They're all dressed to the nines with their hair and their dresses. And here's poor Mary in her crappy clothes. You know what I mean? And they're just, poor Mary's trailing along behind Jocasta. And I'm kind of like, oh, can't you put a nicer dress? Give the poor girl a nicer dress.
I didn't think Mary was dressed that badly.
Well, she's just dressed like the servant. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, which makes sense because that's
and I'm commenting on that time that it's my 21st century brain thinking about an 18th century situation.
Right.
And going like, what the hell? Like, it just, can you imagine walking around a party where everyone's done up all fancy, you know, with your servant following you? It was just creepy.
Well, I mean, they have it in Downton Abbey too, that probably have better clothes, but you know, same deal. Like at least the servants in Downton Abbey got to wear, tuxedos and whatnot.
Yeah, that was a
but
different,
I did
different
notice
century, but
I did notice that Claire, Claire always is very kind and treats people like her equal.
right.
To the point where others look at her like she's kind of a freak.
Like there's something wrong with her.
So. Yeah.
Because she's from the 20th century. So she's
right.
different, right.
Right. Okay. So Joe and Lizzie, so we're back to the Ridge, and Joe and Kessie are very worried about Lizzie. And I guess they're at Bree's house, and she gives them some ointment. And I'm kind of like, where's Lizzie again? Like, if everybody's so concerned about her, like, why aren't they taking care of her? Then I realized, like, oh wait, I think Lizzie lives in the big house, right? So Mrs. Bug must be there. Because I was picturing Lizzie like alone in some cabin, like with malaria. I'm like, why isn't Bree with her? But she's at the big house, and Mrs. Bug must be there taking care of her, and Joe and Lizzie are taking care of her there.
And they didn't have any hydrochloric. How do you say it? Isn't that the malaria drug?
Oh, I don't remember but I don't know. But the ointment will do for now. And Jamie then we're back to the party, and Jamie talks a little bit to Major McDonald, and he's not happy about that Jamie quit the Indian job, but what are you gonna do? And then here comes Flora. That actress looks really familiar, but I don't know that I've ever seen her anything before.
I don't know, but every time I think about her, I see what's her name from 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
I looked up her name, but I don't have it in front of me anymore, so I'm sorry. I think it's Shauna. It's Shauna McDonald, maybe. Coincidentally. I don't know. I think it's Shauna. So she and Jamie actually met when they were children. Jamie pulled her hair or pushed her or kicked her kneecap or whatever. And Flora's had a hard day already because someone broke into her room and stole her necklace. It's a real bummer. Got caught. She got the necklace returned, but it's missing an emerald. So it's like now not worth anything, I guess. Whatever. So they're like chatting, whatever, and then Jocasta's not feeling well. And her eyes are bothering her, and she has this problem often. And Claire's like, "Oh, I have something to fix it in your carriage." And Flora's like, "Oh, I'll come with you for some air because I'm a little nervous and I could, use some air." And Claire's like, "Oh, what I have to offer will also fix your nerves too." And we're all like, what kind of like super medication is going to fix all this stuff?
Wonder joints.
But we'll find out in a minute, because first we have to go back to Roger and Bree. And Roger strolls home singing his little tune as Bree's like, I don't know what she's doing. She's like doing some manual labor. And Bree just kind of like, to her credit, Bree's not like yelly, screamy at him.
Right.
She's not mad at him, but as part of the girls' night out on the river, the girls were all like, "Oh yeah, well, Roger spends a lot of time with Amy's house, and like, she's looking for a man and all." And so Bree's mad not at him because she knows that his intentions are genuine, but at the fact that he's attracting all of this gossip and stuff. Like he's just not thinking about like how people see him, and he's like, well, I'm acting like a minister. I'm her minister. You're not a minister. You're not. You're like a married man who's hanging over there, for half a day.
And again, it's also the 18th century. You can't be doing that.
Right. And they're looking at it from the 70s, which you can do that all the time. So, but he still doesn't get it. He's still like, oh.
Yes. And this is where Bree compared herself to the Romans. There was a line in that whole thing.
Oh, she's like, well, the Romans had plumbing, which they did, by the way, because I went to Rome a few months ago and I learned this. They did plumbing.
And she's like, well, the Romans could do, like, why can't I? And I'm like, oh, here we go, Bree. You and the Romans, Bree.
Bree and Caesar. I want to go back to Rome. It was so great there, you guys. Maybe Jamie and Claire will visit Rome, and it'd be a very special episode. And Stanley Tucci will star on it. And he'll take them all around to the places to where to go to eat.
So Bree's out there lighting up Jacosta's bowl.
Oh, all right. We're at that scene now.
Oh, did I say Bree? I meant Claire.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, I did write this down that I just like this line. Amy needs to find a man of her own. She won't if you're already the man of the house.
I love that.
And Roger's, it still is like, shh.
Yeah, clueless.
Okay. So yeah, now we are at the point where the ladies are getting jiggy with it. To quote like Will Smith, since
She's
everyone's
literally like,
This is some good shit.
and I'm like, oh my God. Like, what?
Oh,
it's
that
just
was
the
hilarious.
hemp flower. It's the hemp flower.
I thought that was really funny that's what they call it. That's what they call it back then, the hemp flower.
And they're all, the three of them are out in like the gazebo, and Claire and Flora have their wine and what's her name's off. And I'm like, this is like last weekend. Like, what? Wow.
It looked totally fun. I would have hung out with them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they looked like they were having a grand old time.
Right.
They're hitting up the pipe. So then they get, as one is wont to do when you've been hitting up the booze and the pot, you get really deep. Okay. So Flora is afraid that she is always going to be associated with Mark May, and that incident is not her. She does not want to be made by one incident. She doesn't want to be identified by one incident, because she's so much more than that, Carol.
Yes.
Except
Flora she's not.
And I'm surprised that Claire wasn't like, that Claire wasn't stoned enough to be like, do you know where I'm from? You're on biscuit tins. You're on biscuit tins.
Wouldn't it be funny if Claire every once in a while like made some crack? Like, do you like biscuits, Flora? Oh my God. And I have to say, it was also true that when after they got caught, he didn't get caught. Bonnie Prince Charlie didn't get caught, but Flora got caught shipping his ass and went to the Tower of London for a short time.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yes, but she was very lucky, and she got out of that and got sent away, and then married a McDonald, and
she talked her way out of it. She, met up with a beefeater.
Yeah, she married a McDonald, and they ended up in North Carolina, and he was in the military. And then they ended up losing everything. This is, you guys, this isn't the show. This is just me talking about Flora McDonald. They ended up losing all their lands, all their property in the war, and they hightailed it back to Scotland.
There you go, with John Andre. He went to England, but there you go. Okay. So yeah, so Flora's afraid of being associated with Mark May. Then they start talking about like, well, Claire, you've met Mark May, and like you hung out with royalty, and you're so lucky, and you hung out with royalty at Versailles too. And then Claire thinks back to when she hung out with royalty at Versailles.
Yeah.
And that was floating around in the back of my mind that like that's she didn't really process any of that happening. And that was more of like I wonder, there was more of a bargain. I don't know. The circumstances were super different. Like it was more, there certainly wasn't, well, I mean,
she was,
she consented.
Yeah. Yes. She get something. She didn't want to,
right?
But she was able to own it. She was in a creepy way a willing participant, if that makes any
because
sense.
It was a
deal.
Tat, or
yeah.
I mean,
it was a bargaining table move.
Yeah.
So she was able to, find a happy place and make it go away.
Right.
And
but now that she has a new layer of trauma, now that's coming back.
It's coming back. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's always going to come back if you don't deal with it.
So much like any other, set of girls who's like drunk and smoked too much, the things start getting really depressing. And now Jocasta I think that at this point, like Flora has left because she's got to go give her speech. But Jocasta's really depressed about Myrta.
Yeah.
She's like, Myrta was the only one. I've married 4 times. Like, some of them were right. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't forget about Myrta. He's like the best. He's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I did write down, like, are we dropping that in for any reason? Like, is this going to come back to haunt us? Whatever.
Yeah. Jocasta is like the Liz Taylor of Outlander. And Myrta is her, I'm trying to think of which
Richard
one
Burton?
is her Richard Burton. Is he the one she loved the most out of all of them?
I think so, but I think she still divorced him in the end.
Like,
but Jocasta would not stop marrying Innes because Myrta wouldn't agree to, be a good boy.
Right.
So there you go.
Right.
And that's where Claire drops the hemp flower business, and I was like, oh, that's what we call it in 1774. Okay.
Hemp flower.
Okay.
I mean, it was hemp.
So Jocasta goes off too, and I think Flora takes her, and Claire, you get that, like, they should have music just for when Claire's triggered, like Claire's trigger music, like diddle-doo, diddle-doo. They should have Claire's trigger music, but clearly Claire's triggered. So she's like starting to clean up the pot, and it's just like, you can't just use the pot, Claire. Like, just smoke more pot. But no, she has brought ether with her in the convenient economy size.
In the napkin, like all of the best kidnappers do.
In the travel size ether bottle.
Right.
Do we? Stop me. Just stop me. We have taken away all of its explosive, super dangerous powers, right? And we're now just carting it around like we're going to a tailgate, right?
Like all of the best kidnappers, Tracy, she had it on a tissue.
So anyway, she's brought a little bottle of like travel size ether with her, and she hits that baby up, and there you go.
All I could think of was, are you going to sit down first? Like, and when Jamie asked her where she was like, I needed a nap. My God, I was like, woman, go sit down somewhere.
I think she was planning on sitting back down at the table, but even that, like, you take the ether and like, you're gonna like, it's not like when I get really tired during work and I'm sitting in this chair and I decide to like take 15 and just
take 5, Tracy. Tom was the best at taking 5. Yes.
It's not like that. Like, she's really gonna pass out and fall right out of the chair.
Okay, so wait. Oh my God. Age, memory. It just went. All
right, it'll come back.
I had something to say about Claire and sitting down. Oh, like you said before, doesn't the ether just sort of make you feel like don't you blink and you're awake again? Like when you get anesthesia, when you go to the hospital, right? And you're gonna have surgery. They're like, they put it on you or they put it in the thing, and all of a sudden you're like, and you open your eyes and you're like, when are you going to start? And they're like, I'm done. Yeah. Why does she just want to blink and be right back to it when she could have a little of the hemp flower and really enjoying life?
Because like, you've had a colonoscopy, right?
Yes, I'm going to be having another one in a couple of months.
So it's the best nap of your life.
And
you're not out for very long. You're out for like 15 minutes.
But you wake up feeling like, when are you going to do it? You don't even feel like you got a rest. I'm saying.
See, I did. When I had my colonoscopy, I was like, best nap of my life.
Oh, see, I feel like anesthesia. I just feel like I blink, I close my eyes, I open them, and it's done. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I was awake, like I didn't even know I went to sleep. Whereas if she would help herself to a little of the hemp flower,
she did, I thought.
No, she had the ether. She didn't smoke.
I thought well, it wasn't really clear whether she had
my girl should have helped herself to the hemp flower and then gone back in the party. It would have been a whole different party.
I know. But she's hooked in the ether. Don't begrudge her drug of choice.
Wait till she invents cocaine.
I don't think we want Claire on cocaine. She's going to be bouncing off the wall. Damn it. Now, Claire needs more like, some doggy downers. Okay. Let's move on because we're going to be here all night. Okay. Speech time for Flora. Yes, as you said, Claire shows up. Now, Jamie is not like he's getting suspicious, but he really was like, Sassenach, where were you? And she's like, I just need a little nap, whatever. And it made me think like, okay, when's Jamie going to find this out? When's going to be the scene where it's like, Jamie, I can stop anytime I want to.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, no, Claire, you have a problem.
Oh my God. Like Romeo and Juliet. Like Romeo and Juliet.
When were Romeo or Juliet hooked on ether?
Claire's going to be out and he's going to think she's dead.
It's already happened. It happened the first time she was out.
No, he just thought she was asleep.
He thought she was dead.
She was in the bed. He didn't think she was dead. No, why would she be dead?
And the thing is, don't forget, if you don't okay. All right, I'm gonna use these glasses as the ether, right? And I'm like, or I'll use this glass.
Here.
So here I
use
go.
the Ovaltine as the ether.
Here I go. I'm Claire, right? Like, okay, but now I don't have the ether on me. And as we saw with Kezi and Josiah and Malva, not Malva, the other one, Lizzie. The minute the thing is off my face, 2 seconds. Oh, here I'm awake. Like, is any what?
Mm-hmm.
So she's not out for more than. I mean, maybe she gives herself a big enough dose or sniff or whatever that she's out for like 3 minutes, but she's not out for very long. But maybe she just, I don't know, feels better.
I'm guessing.
I made that point when we first started seeing this ether stuff that like she's not. Yes, you kind of want to like be out to forget, but it's like literally 3 minutes. Like, okay, only 3 minutes have gone by.
It might not be about the being out. It might be about the getting out.
Right. I get
It's that euphoria. It's that feeling of like the feeling you get right before you fall asleep. It's that feeling of,
that's what about when you're at that point and then you have the like, poof, I'm awake. And you have 10 more minutes and then you go to sleep.
I don't know. I don't like it because it's not. At one point in here, I have written down, like, this is not Claire Beecham Randall Fraser. This is not Claire. This is not Claire.
I don't know. Well, I disagree with that. I don't think it's above Claire to be addicted to something or to try to make the pain go away with something. I do think it's weird to have it be ether. And we've beat that horse to death.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay. Jamie and Lord John are having a little chat. Lord John, I thought Jamie was trying to keep his like, I'm starting to turn on the down low, but clearly not, because Lord John's like, hey, I totally saw your name on a list of like, these are some rebels around Wilmington, North Carolina. Here they are. So what's up with that? Like, yeah, like where did this come from? That he's like totally Mr. I'm a rebel now, and I'm telling the world. I don't know. Didn't know.
I don't know, but all I know is that Lord John and Jamie were talking, and I didn't know who to look at. And I thought, wow, the wigs look really good. Like in that scene, I was like, I got to give props. These wigs look pretty good this season.
Other than Archmere, Jamie's hair has been great this whole season.
Yeah,
this whole season.
Honest, looks very natural. Yeah. I've always wished Jamie's hair was more red. I mean,
I thought it was pretty red this episode.
There was one
Ain't gonna
part
lie.
where the back of it, I guess the front is a little bit of that like blondie gray red, you know what I mean? But you know, the whole series, I've wished that like he's read Jamie Fraser. He's supposed to walk in a room and you're supposed to go, whoa.
It's not, I don't think it's like massively like blinding bright red hair. I don't know. I'm not. Hair's okay with me.
I'm not saying massively blinding, but there are times when it looks almost blonde. It's like strawberry blonde rather than being a redhead who you notice when he walks in the room.
Right. Right. I get it. Okay. All right. So we are. So Jamie. I think I might have even skipped this in my notes.
Jamie was about to say something to Lord John.
Oh, that's right.
John, and then Mary came running up and said, "There's." And
I think that's why Mary. I think this is why Mary was included in this episode, because she's just always the bearer of bad news.
Okay.
Like, because they need somebody to do that. So yeah, he's like, "There's a ruckus. You have to go save them."
She's like, "There's a ruckus going on," and they're like,
"Could you describe the ruckus?"
So yes, so there's troubles in town. They get there. The rebels are trying to break into this print shop, because of what the printer printed up flyers for Flora McDonald's event, and they take that to mean that the printer is loyal to that disgusting, crazy ass King George III, and so off with his head.
Right.
And this is very close to how it went down in the book as well. Jamie almost gets tarred and feathered. He's trying to be like, you know, he's not playing sides, but he's just like, come on, you know, this guy's doing his job. Like, let him do his job. Whatever. This is ridiculous. And then like when this is over and like Jamie's sort of been like a little tar got like here, he and Lord John are just sort of standing there like, you know, they've just like finished being all hot and like breaking this up, and they're just standing. They're like the Avengers, and I'm just like, I would watch anything that the two of them did. Anything.
I would too, and it's so comical to think that you wouldn't even like flinch if someone threw boiling hot tar on your. You'd be like, ah!
Well, how about like boiling hot tar? Forget it. The guy gets shot. The guy like gets shot in his arm.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh shit! I was shot. And then some lady's like, "Here." I goes, "I'll take care." He goes, "Come on inside. We'll stitch this right up." I'm like, the dude was shot in his arm.
Right.
Shot.
Right. But see, this once again is, I love seeing these scenes that like bring it to life, because this is what I'm talking about that went on in my own town and many other towns around here.
I know.
And it was British loyalists who went and burnt down the salt works and burnt down all the buildings, as legend has it, on Union Ave. So it's like, wow, like this, I'm not going to say, I was going to say this shit really went down. I knew it did, but to see it and watch it on screen, it's powerful.
I know. I mean, and they didn't really even show real. I mean, you want to see some tarring and feathering? You watch the John Adams show on HBO. You look that up. That's a fabulous miniseries. It is a must watch. And you see some tar and feathering in all its glory, and it was not pleasant.
Oh my God. I don't think I realized when I was a kid and learning about this in school.
Yeah.
It sounded funny. It sounded funny. Oh, he was tarred and feathered. They died. A lot of times there was hot, boiling hot tar.
Yeah, it's boiling hot tar. No, it's not good. It's not good. Okay. So Claire gets home. She patches up Jamie. I don't even know that anything really happens there, because I just put Claire patches up Jamie. Unless you have anything to contribute, we can move on from that, because I know what you said.
Claire treats Jamie's neck where the tar hit him. Oh, and Claire says, just a little bit of tar. It's not like you were stabbed or shot.
It's not like you don't have scars all over the place. It's just one more.
Yeah, so that kind of reminded me of Henri Christian's River Welcome when it was downplayed.
All right, let's move on here. Tom, Roger, and Alan Christie making an appearance in this episode.
I was so happy. I was so happy. And he had like 3 lines this time instead of 2.
So Roger has to go up to the church for some reason. I don't remember why. But who's he see? Malva's making out with some dude.
Oh my God. I was not expecting that.
I know. Nor was I. It was just some random dude.
Malva, you ignorant slut. In the church, no less.
I don't know if we had this discussion from a couple weeks ago. But even if we did, I'm going to revisit it because it's a good time to do it. I don't think we did. 2 weeks ago, we end a scene with Malva and Ian kind of looking at each other. Like she's just touched his face with the tattoos and whatever. Did they do it there? Or at least make out?
Malva and Ian?
We don't see it. Like they cut at that point.
No.
But if the scene were to continue, did they make out?
No. I think that Malva did not start having those inklings until Claire told her that women like it. And then she went,
oh, so you
and then she was like,
the two of them, like figuring out how it's done. And she's like, okay, I totally know how to do this now. I'm going to try it out.
I think she was like, I want to get me a piece of that. Like, I'm home cooking and cleaning and praying all day, and she's telling me that women like this. So,
I'm going to disagree with you. I think they made out, if not more. I think Malva knows how it's done. Or at least I think Malva made out with Ian.
And the ringer is off and everything. I don't know. It's not even an agree to disagree. I don't know. My answer is I don't believe so. I didn't get that from that. No. But
I think they made out because we have not seen Malva and Ian together since then to really know or notice any weird behavior. But I think
right. Right.
All right. So so Malva and the dude are making
They're
out.
pulling the Liberty Bell.
It's the church bell.
It's the church bell. I know.
Church bell.
Didn't it remind you of the Liberty Bell? Oh, is it supposed to be
the Liberty? Oh, symbolic.
It reminded me of the Liberty Bell.
All of a sudden, Malva has turned into this conniving bitch who's like, if you say anything, I'm going to tell the whole town. I saw Goody.
I'm telling. I'm going to tell.
I saw Goody Roger with the devil.
It was like when Christina Darling got caught making out in the barn in Mommy Dearest.
Yes, she's going to tell everyone that she saw Amy McCallum and Roger McKenzie making out. And so Roger's like, oh, you bitch. And so she escapes, he fixes everything and nobody finds out. But we now know that Malva is a little bit of a conniving bitch.
Yeah.
Okay. We're back at Amy's house. And Ian has caught a big fish. Aiden has caught a big fish. And Amy invites Roger to lunch.
Creep.
And Roger's like, no, I think I'm just gonna what?
The whole scene was just creepy. He was
it was creepy,
no,
but
I'm gonna go. No, you have to. All of a sudden happy. She's just happy Amy McCallum.
She is. She's super happy. Okay. And So yeah, she invites him to lunch. They go in the house. Here's his place of honor set. She pulls his chair back. He sits down and the look on his face is priceless. It's so great. It's so oh yeah, okay, I totally get it now. I'm sorry, Bree. Okay, okay.
Because she has this perfectly set table with all different foods, and she's like, you sit here. Oh, so you sit
at the head of the table.
Yeah.
Can we talk about one little thing? She's like, oh, just come in, just have lunch with us. It's really great. Whatever. Aiden can't wait to hear stories of when you were taken by the Mohawk.
Oh my God.
I was like,
yeah.
In what world do you think Roger is going to want to regale you with these awesome stories of his,
and
that like.
And why does Aiden even know? Why does she even know that Roger was taken by the Mohawk?
That was just dumb. Like what? Yeah. How would she know that? I mean, maybe she would know. Maybe there's talk, whatever. She might know if Roger couldn't sing because he has no voice. Just saying. But I think they did resolve that last season. Actually, now that I think about it. But that was just so weird. Like,
here's my question.
Hell?
Do you think that when he came back and talked, like saw Bree and they had a nice little talk, do you think before he left, he let Amy down easy?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Because I didn't hear him say anything like that, but I thought for sure he was going to say to Bree, listen, I had a talk with her, so she knows. Yes. And I was laughing because I was like, she's got the whole table set and this and that. And I said, God, if I had a dime for every time I made a man lunch or dinner when he came to my house to do some work
to fix the roof.
But like, I thought to myself, I hope he had a little talk with her and let her know, because like then he said he told Henderson to go help her out and help finish the roof or whatever. Wasn't Henderson the one who was just making out with
Yes,
with Malva
I thought
in the
the
bar?
same thing. I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how he did it. Maybe he was like, all right, it's all cool, but you have to do all this work.
But doesn't that mean that Henderson's a lot like younger than her? Like,
well, do you think Henderson's going to marry Amy?
Well, that was the whole intention, was to get Henderson to go hang out with Amy and get Amy hooked on Henderson because he's single.
I mean, we really didn't see Henderson too much. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's not that old.
Yeah, I can't remember how old she is, but Henderson's single, so I just figured I just figured he's kind of young.
No, I 100% think he was like, look, I'm going to set this up. So he's going to finish your roof. He's going to finish all this stuff. Nice knowing you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Right.
But the Mohawk.
Right.
Yeah. Like, he wants to talk about the Mohawk. Like, what the hell? Like, where, like, whatever.
Move on.
So Jamie finds out that Jocasta paid for the whole Flora event. And this bit of information, combined with the fact that Jocasta has bought a print shop for Fergus, leads him to believe that Jocasta has an ulterior motive, and her ulterior motive is to be supportive of the crown. And she's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna use my money for whatever I want, so whatever.
Whoa, hang on a minute. If she paid for the whole event, for Flora's event,
mm-hmm.
Flora helped Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Flora is advocating for peace and for patching things up with the crown.
Okay, so Flora is pro-crown.
Which is also what Jocasta is on the side of. Okay, so and you understand this. Like, Jamie's really worried, especially since he just saw all the shit that a printer could get into. He's really worried about Fergus, and what he says, Fergus is stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Depending on who who his customer is, he's gonna get hit with a rock because of that he's supporting this, and hit with a rock that he's supporting that.
Right.
And you've really caused him a lot of problems here.
And that was the problem between Jocasta and Murtaugh too.
Well, I think Jocasta and Murtaugh wasn't willing to marry her.
It was that Murtaugh was always out talking treason and she wasn't having it.
Kind of not remembering that. I sort of thought it was more that he just wouldn't calm down and be a husband, whatever.
He wouldn't, because he was too busy off recruiting and
Murtaughing. I forgot about that he was kind of a
he was a
rebel. He's the rebel.
He was
so
never
dreamy.
What? Oh, Murtaugh? He was never going to have a new life, like Jamie's saying, these people who Mercer was older too. It wasn't like he had, family or kids, and, he was never going to accept the crown, ever, ever, ever.
So Jocasta leaves and Mary's like, James.
Yeah, this was weird.
Mr. Fraser. Well, no, it's not. It actually makes sense. She hasn't been herself since Martha died. Mary will come upon her asleep and dreaming about her dead daughter, and French gold. And that goes back to season
and blood money.
And blood money. That goes back to last season, if you remember, where we saw her husband and her daughter and the French gold in the car, or not the car, the carriage.
Right.
And how that all went down.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, because that's getting to be an important thing, and it's leading towards something that I didn't think they were from the books, that I didn't think they were going to go down this road, but that's all I'm going to say. It's an
maybe they're not. Maybe they're just like mentioning.
No, there's no mention. There's only foreshadowing.
Well, makes for good TV.
This is why I'm saying that this episode was not a character study. It was an action-packed episode, and everything means something. And you just have to remember what happened, because it's going to be, if it wasn't significant today, it's going to be significant on the next episode or the next episode.
Right.
Okay. We're up to Bree's made Jenny
Roger
a
and
new
Bree.
toy. She's made of a plane. Brianna. My understanding is that you're never going back to 68, 70, wherever you were. Why are you making toys for your child who will never see that time period, that are in that time period, that make no sense in the time period you're going to be living in for the rest of your life?
I see it more as, why are you making him toys that represent toys that are something you can't explain to people if they see the toy?
This is exactly what I'm saying. This is exactly the same thing. Like, why? Like, why don't you make him a toy carriage or a toy pony or a toy boat?
I can understand why she would want him to experience things from his parents.
She's from.
From modern day, but I would not do it for fear of his, to protect his safety and everybody's safety. And, what the hell is that? It's bad enough when Marcelly's asking what a vroom, why he says vroom or whatever.
But she has to think about this. Like, and I don't even think I really thought about this in the books too. She and Roger and Claire have this connection, and they can go off and pick berries or whatever, and like reminisce about the Beatles and, all the fun stuff from 1968. But Jemmy will never know that. Jemmy will never know what all of that stuff is. So why give him stuff from that?
Because I think you need to see it more as a child growing up in a English is not a first language household. You're not going to not tell your kid about your life in your previous, you know what I mean? Oh, when I was growing up in this country, we did this, we ate this, we blah, 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 blah. She has a need to have her kid know about that time period. And again, I keep saying, I don't think it's weird that she does, but I think it's dangerous what she's doing.
I think it's weird. I think that I think it's very different to be like, okay, we came from Italy, and now we're gonna eat Italian food and tell you all about Nona and Poppy, who, are from the old country, whatever. That's one thing when you come from another country. When you come from another time period. I thought you were saying that was
weird. I was like,
no, that's not weird, because a lot of people do it. Like, it's conceivable. It's not conceivable to say, like, I came from 200 years in the future, but here's a toy that I used to play with. Jemmy's gonna be like Jamie. Okay, Jamie can't fathom, can't conceptualize when Claire tells him some stuff. Like, you know, in the books, it's more pronounced in the books, but like Claire makes the point in the books that she says, you know, she tells Jamie about like airplanes and machines and this and that. And he understands it in the way that like a child would understand Santa Claus. You know, that like he doesn't really understand it. He just believes it because she's saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It just is weird. It's weird to me that like, I don't know. There must be, I guess there's some subconscious reason why she wants her kid to have a part of her life.
Right. I don't think that's weird at all.
I think it's weird, but I think that she's smart enough that she would be like, but you know, is that really the smartest thing to do?
No, but
and
you're
it's like
talking.
she makes this plane that's like, it's not even like that. It's like, just like, is this a plane or is it a bird? I can't really tell. No, it's a full on like what they would handle a little kid on the plane to play with.
Okay.
As like an American Airlines, like, you know,
right. Right.
Like
it's dumb
swag.
But it's two different things. Do you have a problem with her wanting him to know about her life? Or do you have a problem with her being stupid and making him a toy she shouldn't be making him? Or do you have a problem with both?
The latter. Choice B.
1000%. Although, you know what's so funny? I didn't even notice.
Oh, because that plane was anatomically correct. Like that was like
I was probably like taking notes or something. Like I just did not even notice.
All right, let's move on because it's not important. It just like bugged me a little bit. I was like, she made him a toy plane. Why? All right. So Roger comes home. He gets it. He's like, totally, Bree, you're like super right. I got a sub. All good. They're taking care of Amy's shit, whatever. But then he's like, he has a weakness for young mothers. I don't know if I'm Bree, how I'm taking that.
I was creeped out. I was like, where are you going with this? I have a weakness for young mothers. It was so dumb. That was just dumb. It was a segue. I think it was just a way to segue, and I thought it was dumb.
Yes, I don't remember if he said that in the books or not, but I just was like, okay, well, okay.
If you could keep that weakness in check, I would appreciate it.
But anyway, Bree's all good. She forgives him, and guess what? There's another baby coming. There's another one on the way. So that was very sweet. They have another baby on the way. You know, they've been trying for a while, so that's really great for them. And moving on to Malva.
Oh,
and
Lord.
The longer this episode goes, the creepier she gets.
Oh, Lord.
She's walking in the woods to a cabin.
It wasn't a cabin, it was a tent.
It was a tenty cabin. It was cabin. How did
she even know that was there?
I have all sorts of questions.
He was deader than a doornail.
He was dead. I mean, she was like channeling all sorts of James Gum shit in this. All sorts.
Rubs the lotion on its skin. And how about her switchblade? I had to hit pause and go look up when switchblades were invented.
Bree is gonna have to carve her a butterfly or a moth and just like hand it to her because she is all sorts of James Gum shit with this.
But with the switchblade, I expected her to go.
Well, first of all, here's my question: do we know this guy, or is he just some random guy she found dead somewhere? Did she kill him?
I was like, y'all forgot something in the editing bay because nobody knows who this guy is.
Is he just some random guy that died? Nobody's missing him?
And
like,
it has to be recent because he'd be more dead than that. And
he's pretty effing dead though.
He's pretty dead, but let me tell you, he would be more dead if he was.
Is this all your mortuary experience? Like,
if he was sitting, Google it. If he was sitting out like that for a long time, she wouldn't even be able to walk in that weird pen.
Yeah, there was like a little fly here and there. I mean, I think it's really cold at this point.
Have stunk, because it's not that cold. It's not snowing. He would have stunk. And she went in there. And then I'm like, oh, she must have killed this guy. And then she's like this. And she's going, and I'm like, wait, even Malva's grossed out.
Clearly though, she's done this before. It's not her first
God.
rodeo.
Oh my goodness.
The sound quality, whoever is doing the sound for the season,
so gross.
Needs an Emmy right now because it is so good. Like
It
all of
was so
Claire's
gross.
operations have had great sound. This was disgusting. It was so good. It was so
gross.
good. Malva's crazy. So you guys, for any of you who might have been wondering, like, you know, about the preseason chatter from the book readers, I'm like, Malva, oh my God. Now you're getting it. She cried.
I know there's been times this season where I've been like, you got to be careful about Malva. Like, you know, like I kind of was like, oh, I feel bad for Malva. And now I'm like, all right, good. Now Malva's showing her true colors, and I don't have to worry about being like, Malva's scary.
So let me ask you this. So clearly she made the love spell.
Mm-hmm.
Who's she making it for?
I don't know.
Ian? Dude in the church?
No, she's got the dude.
Likes young mothers, Roger?
Oh, Lord.
Joe and/or Kezzy?
I even have that in my notes. When she was making out with Henderson in the church, I was like, damn, no offense to the actor. I'm sure he's cute and all, but like, girl, go for one of those. Go what's their last name? Go for Josiah or Kezzy, man. Those two are hot. What are you doing with this guy out in the he belongs in friggin' the barn. He belongs in Amy's barn somewhere.
Yeah, so she cried. We know that now. We've seen it.
She cried.
Okay. We're almost done here. So okay. So Jamie and Lord John have a great conversation here. Oh my God, it's really good. It's in the street. So Lord John now knows that Jamie's a full-on supporter. And he goes, he's really, you know, he's really worried. And he says, like, you know, the rebels are going to lose. And what's going to happen to you? You know, and he can't even get the words out. And you just look at his face, and I was just like, oh my God, he loves Jamie so much. Oh my God, it breaks my heart. Like,
he loves Jamie so much, it almost creeps me out when they're around Claire or others. Because I'm like, dude, he's married. I mean, forget about the fact that he's also not gay like you are. He's married. Like, he knows.
But he's like, still like, he loves Jamie so much. And you saw it all over his face.
Keep it in check, dude.
Well, but it was just the two of them. It wasn't anybody else around them.
It was lovely. I have that all written down. I know. I was almost ready to shed a tear because Lord John was very sensitive in this scene. He's
like, that's not it. It's not like you betrayed me. It's not like you're an ass because you like those rebels, dude.
It's like you're going to die.
You're going to die. You're in danger. Mm-hmm. I can't be without you.
Right.
Like, I can't live in a world without you.
Right.
Oh my God, it killed me. Killed me. So Jamie's like, you know, will you delay your men? Like, whatever. And Lord John's like, all right, you got 2 seconds. And then they're going in. And Lord John says, you surprise me at every turn, but then again, you always have. Oh, he just loves him so much.
But I kind of have to say that I kind of cracked up a little because I was like, Jamie has the luxury of knowing what's going to happen. Poor Lord John is going in the direction he thinks things. Lord John, just there's no inkling in his head that the rebels could ever win. You know what I mean? So Jamie is like, Jamie knows. And then I'm sitting here like, oh man, all in my head, I'm seeing a flash forward of Jamie and Lord John both wearing the same suit coming down the escalator in Rain Man. Because they knew,
Okay.
because he was counting cards. So they would know and they would take advantage. And I was like, that's all I'm thinking is Jamie knows what's going to happen. He's on the right side. Follow him.
Let me ask you this. Like, I wonder, I mean, and Jamie actually did say something to try to get Lord John to like come with me, join me, you know.
Right.
Would Jamie ever say anything to Lord John, like, just please trust me on this?
No. Actually, I would have said no before he went to, did he tell in the last episode or two? Maybe
What
two.
What?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Like, oh, the chief. Oh, listen, my wife has dreams and sees shit. And I was like, Jamie, shut that.
Yeah, no, but the chief that's a different story. The chief is totally gonna buy that because that's the thing there. But like, and he wouldn't even have to say like Claire's in the future. He could say, just please trust me. Please trust me. I wonder if I wonder, like, that's a really interesting thing to think about. Like, so obviously Jamie knows, Ian knows, Brianna knows, Roger knows, duh. I think are they the only people that know so far?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I do wonder here and there if like they would ever tell Marcelly, because Marcelly's always like, well, she's so astute. She is so perceptive. She picks up on everything. So I'm always wondering, like, are they just going to break down and just tell Marcelly at some point? She has just enough fairy belief that maybe she'd buy it.
I feel like there's no reason for Marcelly to know that. No, like she's never, but Lord John, like
no, never. Lord John's never. This is what I'm saying. Hear me. Marcelly. I'm not, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to prove some point that they would tell Marcelly. I don't think they're going to tell Marcelly. I'm just saying Marcelly is the type that because she's from the 18th century. Yes, she has 2 feet planted in that ground. She is based all in reality. But at the same time, she's from the 18th century. She's got a little wee bit of, like the fairy, put your baby in the bottom of the tree thought process that she wouldn't think it was, they were batshit crazy. Lord John is just 100% reality and none of that other bullshit. He would never. I know.
All right. Let's we've been talking for a long time. Let's this because we gotta end this. So they go to the Sons of Liberty meeting. All of a sudden, Jamie is not welcome because he defended the printer, you bastard. And then Jamie does what Jamie is so good at, which is making this speech that like is inclusive and like plays to everybody's likes and dislikes and whatever. And it's like everybody thinks that Jamie is on their side when he's done. He's so good at this. It's just like, it's what he does. It's what Jamie does. He's like, basically, I thought that you would respect somebody who like is willing to listen to another person's opinion and is willing to like see both sides and at least listen or whatever, because I thought that's what this was all about, and listening to the opinions of others and And I don't know that he has really time to like convince them, because then the soldiers show up, because Lord John didn't give him that much time. So maybe Lord John wasn't that moved by Jamie's plight. Yeah. He's like, okay, you got 30 seconds.
You got 2 minutes. Make it good.
So the soldiers show up and Jamie's like, all right, you get out. We're gonna like do whatever. And they totally fool the soldiers. They're like, yeah, we're just hanging. We're just playing some pool and having some beers. Like what?
I was ready to, I'm gonna say it. I was ready to bitch slap Jamie at this point. I'm like, oh, typical. You gotta stick around and you gotta be the one, let everybody get out. You're not gonna go out the back door. You're gonna stand here. Just like remember with the plaid at Ardsmere when I was like, couldn't he have bent down and picked up the damn plaid and shoved it in his pocket? No, he's got to stand there and get caught and then get flogged. And now same thing with this. Everybody run out the back door, but I'll stand here and handle the whole thing. I'm like, haven't you been in enough trouble in your lifetime?
That's what Jamie does.
I know.
Jamie does it. That's what he does. So hopefully he's proven that he is trustworthy in their eyes. But he's just so good at playing both sides. My God, he's so good at it. Like, he would have just gotten out of, like, in school, he would have just gotten out of everything. Like, everyone would have loved him. He would have gotten out of every piece of trouble. He would have sweet talked his way through everything. Would have been so great. Okay, Bree and Marcelly, they're chatting. So Marcelly is like getting everybody ready to move because they're gonna move to New Bern. She says something like the twins are taking care of Lizzie like a little lost lamb. It's pretty funny. Yeah. I can't wait to revisit Lizzie after this little malaria spell.
Where in the world is Lizzie?
I know. So Marcelly has guessed Bree's big news.
And Bree's big eyebrows are particularly unruly in this scene. Holy mackerel, they're like spiders.
So she's very happy for her, whatever. Then Jamie and Claire are heading home. And Claire hears a familiar song, like something along the lines of, and she's like, well, it must be the wind, whatever. So they leave, and they must have been parked out in front of the jail, because you go into the jail and you see some dude in the jail and he's whistling that song.
And he's holding the green emerald.
He's holding the green emerald. And he almost turns around, blackout. Who's that dude?
I know who that dude is.
I know who that dude is. I did. It did. I didn't know right away. This is the worst part. I was like,
I knew.
It took me like 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, I know who that dude is. Who's the dude?
He whistled. She heard the whistle. I didn't know. Then you heard the whistle and jail, and I was like,
I know that dude.
This was maybe the first time all season, but definitely in the episode, the first time that I was like, they got me. It was good.
It was good.
Am I supposed to say who it was, or I don't think we should say? I don't think we should say.
No, I think we should say.
No, because they did not show his face. The non-book readers have no idea who this is.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's no jail scene like this in the books. This is new, but I still think I know who it is. I don't think it's Stephen Bonnet, because again, seeing Stephen Bonnet balls, that was my first guess. I was like, no, this is not Stephen Bonnet.
Who do you think it is?
And the fact is that.
Who do you think it is?
You think it's Stephen Bonnet?
Who do you think it is?
I think it's the dude that at the Claire kidnapping that is from the future.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that.
Wendigo. Did you think it was Stephen Bonnet?
I remember. How did she know he was from the future?
Because he's like, do you know who John Lennon is or something? Maybe
I remember him from the books.
He was there. He was there as well.
Yeah.
Because we wondered what
and
happened to him.
He didn't help. Or am I getting it mixed up?
Yeah, he didn't help. He didn't help.
He could have helped her. Yeah, that was in the book too. He could have helped her, and he didn't, because he didn't want to blow his cover.
Right.
So what he was singing was that. What is that? What is that? And when is it from?
Breakfast Club?
No, it's an old military song.
Oh, it was like the Boogie Boogie. It was the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, Boogie Woogie Melody or something. That's, we get, obviously you get the screener, and it has like subtitles, which Carol's always complaining about.
It's not Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
It's Boogie Woogie Medley or something, because it said in those subtitles that you hate what it is.
Oh wait, I wrote it down.
Oh, I did too.
Colonel Bogey. Boogie March.
Boogie March.
It looked like it had one O, bogey.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that it's from the future.
See, now I was not 100% on that. You know, I'm looking this up on that song. Some songs, yes, they might be like more of a future, you know what I mean? Like, let's say from World War II, but it was actually, the tune was from something, you know, hundreds of years ago. So, oh my God, you are right. I bet it's him.
Who did you think it was? Stephen Bonnet?
I did. I thought it was Stephen Bonnet.
Because I really did. I thought he was going to turn around and we were going to get Stephen Bonnet. And I was like, oh my God, he's back. I can't believe it. Like literally Bree shot him in the head and he's back. Oh my God. Oh my God. But so it took me 5 minutes to realize like, I think that's who it is. I don't know. It could be Stephen Bonnet.
Yeah, guys, we seriously, non-book readers, we don't know who it is either. We didn't see his face. No, I was thinking Stephen Bonnet. They somehow.
That's why I said, I think Stephen Bonnet is really most sincerely dead. And maybe that's why we saw his balls in the jar.
Or the balls in the jar. Or the balls in the jar were to throw us off.
No, I think they were really his balls. Could be. Look, am I ever going to complain about Stephen Bonnet on that show? Hell no. Hell no. Because then if you have to throw him in the mix of like who's hottest, Stephen Bonnet, Lord John, Fergus, I'm out. I can't. But that's it, you guys. That's the episode. It was another, like, season 6 is just home run after home run after home run after home run.
It was just it was chock full of Outlander goodness.
And I like that it was a different tone. Like, again, so many of the past episodes, which have been fabulous, but they've been character studies. We've learned about one character. We've learned a lot about Fergus. We've learned a lot about Ian. We've learned a lot about Claire. We've learned a lot about Tom Christie. Now,
but we haven't learned a lot about Kezzy and Josiah.
Well, hopefully we'll learn about them like later on. But now we've gotten into the roller coaster car and strapped down, and we are on the roller coaster.
Yes.
All right, you guys. I think we've exhausted this episode. I think we've talked through everything. Like we said, this was a really good episode. We really enjoyed it, but we want to know what you think. So tell us in the comments. Carol, where else can these fine people find us?
Oh my God, they know where to find us. They're already at myoutlanderpurgatory.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If we ever get anything on TikTok. Obviously, we're on YouTube. They know that. They watch us on YouTube every week too.
But don't forget to subscribe right down there.
And we really appreciate you guys for subscribing too.
You guys, we're halfway through this episode. We're more than halfway. In fact, this season. In fact, next week is episode 6, and that's fine. Then I think Easter is skipped. I feel like they're not having an episode on Easter. And the next week we're in Scotland. And the next week you get back from Scotland. Hey. So things are going to be a little dicey.
Yeah, we're not really sure
we have to figure out exactly what we're doing.
Tracy and I might be making a plane recap while everyone else is sleeping.
We possibly, if we can get seats together. But we'll figure something out for you. In all likelihood, the finale episode will be a little late because we're going to be on a plane at that point and we won't have seen it. So we'll figure it out. It's all good. It might be a little late. You might have to wait for it, but we'll make it worth your while. It'll be worth the wait. All right. We're done here. Have a great week, you guys. We will see you next week. Enjoy Outlander. And thank you.